Welcome to the Foreign Accent Stamp, the podcast that proves your voice is your greatest asset. I'm Rania Hübscher, and each week I bring you powerful insights, solo episodes, and conversations with non-native English-speaking entrepreneurs and high achievers who've built success on their own terms. This is about more than just speech. It's about mindset, growth, and owning every part of who you are. Are you ready to step into your next level? Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Foreign Accent Stamp. Before we dive into the topic of the dangers of rewatching your presentation, I would like to thank every one of you who voted for me when I was nominated as Best Positive Impact Speaker on the Women Thrive Summit. I didn't win. However, the woman who did win was so deserving. It was basically a win for all of us. And I just wanted to thank you. I'm so appreciative for everyone who took the time to click on my name, to write my name for Speaker of the Year as well. I didn't win an award, but I celebrated every woman who did. And it was a night to remember. It was so lovely seeing everyone so happy and celebrating each other, celebrating each other's wins. So I wanted to say thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to vote for me. Now, coming off of the Women Thrive Summit, this was what sparked the topic for today because some of the speakers suggested, because every talk was recorded, they suggested that we all would rewatch, like every single one of us individually, to rewatch our own talks in order to become better. And I disagreed. Especially for non-native English speakers, there are hidden dangers of doing so. I do get why seasoned speakers would be thrilled to rewatch, or maybe not thrilled, but eager to rewatch their presentation in order to find bits and pieces where they could improve in order to become better speakers, right? But for speakers who are just beginning and non-native English speakers, this practice might do more harm than good. So in today's episode, I'm breaking down why rewatching your own presentations might be slowing you down and what to do instead. In fact, I've got 5 reasons for you why watching your talk might hurt your speaking progress. Number 1, you don't hear yourself the way others hear you. Have you ever recorded yourself for social media or made a video of yourself, or a friend recorded you and you rewatched the video and you noticed that your voice sounded way different and it made you cringe and you thought, oh God, that's what I sound like to others, like all the time, right? Who's experienced that before? It's perfectly normal because we experience our voice differently because we hear it through the echo of our bodies, whereas others don't. It's perfectly normal to feel that urge to cringe and the urge to press pause or stop in the recording whenever we hear ourselves, when we're not used to hearing our voice through a recording. It's perfectly normal. Like, it sounds way off to you in the beginning. And if you're not used to hearing your voice, like listening or watching a video, like a 45-minute to an hour talk back, when you're not used to hearing your voice, not through your own body only, but also through a different screen, through a different recording medium, you're going to hate it. I'm just going to say it. You're going to hate it. You're not going to like the way you sound. And it's perfectly normal. So you need to create the habit of actually listening to your voice. Record a 5-second, a 10-second, half a minute audio and start listening to it. So your mind actually catches up with how you sound to others and slowly over time merges the two. And you know, oh yeah, right, that's me. That's what I sound like too. It's like taking a photo of yourself and then seeing how you actually look like to others when it's not in the mirror, right? So you're actually not mirrored. And once you see the unmirrored photo of you, you see, oh yeah, right, that's me too. And over time it gets normal, like, oh yeah, I know both the mirrored and the unmirrored photo is me, right? So you need to give it time. you need to slowly get used to how you sound through a recording, through another device. So if you listen to your recording, or if you listen to the way you sound through that video, you are so preoccupied with the way you sound that you either don't pay attention to the rest of it, or you try and mimic the way you think you sound like, or you sound like through your own body, and you try to adjust your voice, which doesn't need adjusting in the first place. So if you're not used to hearing your voice through a device, then what happens is you're tempted to change your voice in order for you to not feel like, ooh, it's cringy, or it's so distorted, or it doesn't sound like me, that you start to change your voice in order to match it how you usually hear it through your own body. And it's not you. It's not you. It's not the same listener experience if they know that you're changing your voice, right? You need to stay true to your own voice. So don't listen to or watch a recording of you for 60 minutes if you can't even bear the thoughts of listening to your voice for 60 seconds. So slowly, gradually build it up and give your brain time to catch up until your brain knows, oh yeah, that's my voice too. Number 2 of the reasons why watching your talk back might hurt your speaking progress. It's because you start aiming for perfection instead of connection. If you're watching yourself too closely, you might shift your goal from communicating your message to performing, because you didn't like the thing that you saw. You didn't like the way that you moved around, that you moved your arms, right? So you start to perform, and it actually goes from being authentic to sort of putting on a show, not being authentic anymore. When you shift from authenticity to perfection to showmanship, you're not being your authentic self anymore. You're not able to really influence anymore. Real influence comes from clarity, energy, and authenticity, not from the perfect pronunciation, perfect grammar, perfect moving around the stage, perfect gestures, perfect voice, perfect intonation. You get it, right? Audiences remember how you make them feel, not how you looked or sounded like. If you watch yourself back, you're going to see all the little things that you didn't like, but that audience members might not even have noticed. And audience members would have built a connection with you, but maybe exactly because of this being on stage imperfectly, because no one is perfect. And if you'd have put on a show, you wouldn't have connected with them. So if you watch yourself back and you notice all the things and you write down all the things that you didn't like, you might take away from what the audience actually liked. And you won't be able to connect anymore because you just put on a show. So remember, connection over perfection, always, always. Coming off of this second reason of you starting aiming for perfection is number 3, you risk reinforcing negative self-talk. Because without the right mindset, rewatching can quickly spiral into nitpicking and self-criticism. I know it would do so for me. Have you ever taken a photo and when you looked at it, you said, oh no, I need to take it again and again and again. Oh no, my arm didn't seem right, or I didn't like the way my hair looked, or, insert anything that you didn't like about the photo. And so you end up having 48 photos on your phone. And in the end, you pick the first one because that was still the best, right? Who's been there? I know that if I rewatch my talk, I am dissecting every little piece of it and every little detail, obsessing over it, not to make it perfect. I know no one's perfect, and I don't aspire to be perfect, but I aspire to be better in every aspect that I can. So I would note down every little detail, And that's going to be way too much to focus on the next time. Who has an inner critic just like me that's way harsher than necessary? I'd like to know. Please let me know. Please send me a message if that's you as well. Right? Because instead of seeing progress, we might only see flaws, and that just kills any momentum, any progress that we could possibly make. So if that's you as well, if rewatching your talk might get you into a spiral of negative self-talk, don't watch it. Even with the right mindset of being compassionate with yourself, that inner critic still shows up. And then to find the balance or the distance to then mute that inner critic is so difficult. And it's not the right path for when you're just starting out and just wanting to get better step by step, bit by bit. And by the way, this goes for everything, not necessarily only speaking, is especially in the beginning when you just suck or when you don't know everything, when you make lots of mistakes, when you fail so many times. This is where growth happens, actually. We need to have so much self-compassion instead of self-criticism and self-correction all the time. And rewatching your talk or analyzing what you did if it's not speaking, analyzing it in every little detail. Yes, it might be good if you're launching a product, if you're in business and you're obsessing over every little detail, but you must know that you can't, if you don't have a huge team, right? You can't improve on everything all at once. You need to implement it step by step. So this is why I don't recommend, especially in the beginning, why I don't recommend rewatching your talk. Because it's just there's a high probability that it's just gonna reinforce negative self-talk. And we don't want that. We want to be proud of the steps we're taking, right? And not being discouraging to ourselves. Because we want to get better. And while we have self-compassion, it's very easy to only see the negative things. But in order to move forward, we need to stay positive. Reinforcing negative self-talk actually leads me perfectly onto number 4. We focus too much on mistakes instead of strengths. Most people who are watching themselves don't notice the good moments, only the mistakes, this was a mishap, this was so cringe. So for instance, during my talk, I loved how people were engaging and writing in the comment section. It was on Zoom, so it was very easy to have a conversation. And I deliberately wanted to have a discussion with them, right? To have it as a conversation, not just me talking at them, right? So to keep it engaging. And I read some of the answers. And before my brain could actually process what one of the women had written, I said it out loud. And I said, "Ooh, I love it," meaning I love how much people wrote to me. And then I processed it. And it was like something sad that had happened and to that person. And I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean that. Like, I meant I love how engaging this was, not actually what had happened to her." So mistakes can happen. And I could have obsessed over it. But I mean, we're only human. And this separates me from the rest. And this goes back to not being a showman when you're speaking to people, when you want to influence people in the way of, hey, we all want to get better. Here's me making mistakes, and still I can get better. So we don't need to be perfect all the time, right? But if we only focus on flaws, we're building the wrong feedback loop. Like, oh, this is only bad. I didn't do a great enough job, right? We're not praising ourselves. We're not being compassionate with ourselves. We're not remaining positive on, hey, yes, we can do this. We can focus on XYZ. We can get better. We can be proud of it. We didn't do everything perfectly. No one needs to do so. And we still can get better. Because if you only criticize yourself, you make yourself smaller. You shrink, right? You need to have a good balance of constructive criticism, where you notice the good and the bad in quotation marks, something to improve on, and to keep it in balance, because it wasn't all negative. If you focus too much on the mistakes and you criticize yourself over it, and I'm especially talking to you perfectionists out there, you shrink and you don't actually get better. If you can give yourself feedback that is strength-based, you can progress way faster and more sustainable at that, because who only wants negative feedback all the time, right? By the way, I do debrief after every public speaking gig because I want to get better. And I list 3 things that went well and 3 things to improve, to focus on for next time. If you want to download it, I do have it at the end of my stress-free speech checklist. It's on my website in the resource section, but it's also linked below in the resource vault. And I encourage you, if you don't want to download it, just write yourself a note. Note down 3 things that went well that you can be proud of, and 3 things to focus on. In fact, I'm going to tell you before I tell you number 5, and number 5 on the list of why rewatching your talk might not be beneficial to you and actually hinder your growth is especially important for non-native English speakers. I'm going to tell you what I wrote after my talk on the Women Thrive stage. The things that went well, 3 things. I actually listed 5 and 6 to work on, but I'm only going to tell you 3 because that's what I always aim for. 3, what went really well was I had an engaged audience from start to finish and a dialogue throughout. Even though the majority of attendees didn't know me, I could keep them engaged. I made the audience feel like they could share vulnerably. That's number 2. And number 3, I bridged the gap. So native English speakers, I knew that there were not only non-native English speakers, but also native English speakers in the audience. So I did bridge the gap so that native English speakers gained as much value as non-native English speakers. I grew the awareness for native speakers and provided tricks and tools for non-native English speakers. That's what went really well. The things that I can work on is, number 1, even though I asked lots of questions, I should write questions down or plan the interactions with the audience so I could fall back on them if I needed them, if I ever had a blackout. Number 2, do a recording of the whole speech in advance in case of a network outage. Since it was online, because I don't have any other hotspot where I live. I don't know how it is where you live, but here in the UK, it's not that uncommon to have a network outage, and I wouldn't have had any other backup. So that was number 2. And number 3, and I'm working on it even on the podcast, so you're getting the inside scoop, is because I do have a soothing voice, I need to keep the vocal energy high throughout my talk. It's very easy for me, especially on Zoom, to drop in energy, to have a soothing voice, because I do have a soothing voice. And there's advantages to that, especially in a voiceover world. But when giving a talk, especially when it's not live, like when it's live, it's way easier for me to keep the energy high, to keep the momentum in the room. But especially on Zoom or here on the podcast, you're going to notice it, I'm sure, is I need to pay attention to not drop the energy. So these are the things I need to work on. And I deliberately, and by the way, if you do this, I highly, highly encourage you to do this on the first day, on the day you've given your speech, at the latest, the day after, because you forget about the minute details. You forget about the bad things, the good things very quickly. Bad, quote unquote. So please do it straight after your talk. So I said number 5 on the list of why rewatching your presentation might not be the best idea for a non-native English speaker, especially, is when you rewatch your talk, you judge your accent through an unrealistic lens. Your accent is part of your identity, right? It's not something to be ashamed of, even though there's accent bias and I know lots of us are ashamed, and we shouldn't feel ashamed of it. I know that's very real. And if you rewatch it, leaving all the first 4 points aside, it's very easy to fall back on, oh my God, my accent, it's unclear and people couldn't understand me, and, all these things that come with a foreign accent. If you watch yourself back, it's very easy to magnify your insecurities about it. And your audience might have not even noticed. I mean, yes, they probably have noticed if you had a foreign accent. But the degree of, or the severity, quote unquote, of it that we as non-native English speakers often put on it, they might not have perceived it as that. And if you rewatch your presentation, you obsess over your accent. You might think that you need to fix your whole accent, your whole pronunciation from one day to the next. And without fixing your accent, you might not be able to stand in front of a crowd again, stand in front of an audience and deliver your speech, when this is all practice. And when we're nervous, this is why practice happens off stage, not on stage. Because when we're nervous, especially, we rely on muscle memory. And if we haven't trained our accent enough, all that is just gone out the window if you wanted to train your accent at all. And instead of focusing on, did the audience understand me? Was the audience connected? Did I make a connection with them? Did they feel something? Right? That all happens through the voice, by the way, not the accent. It's very easy to then go, oh, I need to fix this, I need to fix that, and obsess over it, instead of going, I can be very, very proud that I dared to speak in front of people in a language that wasn't my own. You never need the perfect accent. You need a powerful voice. And if rewatching your talk keeps you from having that powerful voice, I say don't even think about rewatching your talk. Instead, like I said before, list 3 things that went really well, 3 things that you can focus on, and that's it. Keep the balance. The aim is to gradually improve, and once we don't have anything to add on the list of things to improve on, there's a practice by Vin Jiang that I really like, but that I'm not doing yet because of my inner critic, is he suggests that you can record your talk and then watch it back. So first listen to it instead of watching it. So only listen to the audio. Then watch it back without the audio. And the third step was to transcribe what you said and then read what you've said and notice all the words that aren't serving you, that aren't power words. While I think number 3 is a bit excessive, it might certainly be helpful. I do think number 1 and 2 are really helpful if you're not sure how the speech lands. But absolutely, if you do it before your presentation and absolutely not after. Because of these 5 reasons I just told you about. Because you can't hear yourself the way others hear you. Because you start aiming for perfection instead of connection. Because you risk reinforcing negative self-talk, because you focus too much on mistakes instead of strengths, and you judge your accent through an unrealistic lens. So let me know if any of these 5 reasons resonated with you, or if any of this helps you at all. Send me a DM. Go make sure to download the free resource of my stress-free speech checklist. And if you wanted to go over your pronunciation for your next presentation for an upcoming talk you have, you know where to find me. Thank you so much for listening. Hear you at the next episode. Thanks for listening to the Foreign Accent Stand. If you love this episode, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you want to support the show, take 10 seconds to leave a 5-star review. It helps more people find these conversations, and it would mean the world to me. For more insights or to nominate a guest, head to ranyahupshar.com/podcast. Until the next episode, I appreciate you.